All right, Mental Health Awareness Month of May. One of the things I want to talk about today is how do you fuel to have optimum functioning going on at your brain. For starters, before you even get there, you have to be hydrated, one. And you really need to make sure that you get enough rest the night before and set yourself up for success on that rest. We talked about that in another video, so I'm not going to get into that too much now. But making sure that you get peaceful sleep and that your brain is cleared while you're sleeping, because that's when kind of the cobwebs are cleared out. And that's the high-tech way to talk about that. So once you wake up in the morning, you're actually looking to fuel that. You need to look at what the brain is made up of and what it functions on. And you need those essential fatty acids. They're imperative to not have impaired judgment. And so making sure that we get that is really important. So let's talk about 10 foods that Jim Kwik likes to talk about all the time that are his top 10. And again, like, you need to consult with your physician or whoever it is that you have in your life that you make decisions as it relates to your wellness about. If that's your physician, that's good, go talk to them. But this is just foods. So like, you're already putting foods in your mouth anyway. So here's 10 that are helpful, but everybody's a little bit different. We have different gut microbiomes. We know that from Javine Jane and Viome and all those good people out there doing all the research. So here we go. Number 1, avocados, blueberries, broccoli, coconut oil, egg, green leafy vegetables, salmon, turmeric, walnuts, they look like the brain anyway, and dark chocolate, because that's the people's champ. Now I want to talk about what Mark Hyman talks about and what Max Lugavere talks about, as in some of the things you want to avoid. So one of the things you want to avoid is refined sugars and starches. That's just pretty simple. Basically, sugar on the brain is kind of like what they used to talk about in those old commercials. This is your brain on drugs. What they didn't tell you was sugar will be doing some pretty serious damage. It's not acid, it's not like these other drugs that they were talking about at the time, but it is burning the brain. So you want to make sure that there's no sugar or starch in there. Trans fats, just bad to begin with. And then food additives. You may think just because something has 0 calories that it's okay. It's an additive. Again, it's an additive, so it's not good for you. Now, the other things that you want to look to avoid or reduce the impact that they have on you are mold and yeast in foods. So we're gonna get kind of some of the simple ones out of the way first. And this isn't saying to never have these, it's just saying be aware of their presence in, coming into your chemistry. And that is vinegar, mayonnaise, soy sauce, different types of alcohol, cheese, sour cream, smoked meats, dried fruits. Now, here's the bigger ones: peanuts, pistachios, cashews, corn, wheat, rye, barley, oats, and nut and seed butter. Now, this isn't saying not to have any of it. And there's ways that you can reduce the impact of that on you. By having organic peanuts, you're going to reduce the impact of the pesticides that actually aren't on there anymore. A lot of people don't think it's a big deal, but as it relates to nuts, nuts are oil-based, which means they're gonna absorb things more deeply than other things, because that's what oil does, it absorbs. So it takes in those pesticides and then it's in the food. And that's a problem for you, obviously, because you don't wanna ingest that. Now, you can soak nuts, grains, and legumes. We all know this, but a lot of people don't know why. The phytic acid we're not looking to have actually bind to the minerals in our GI tract and kind of take away from what we need. So when you're soaking the nuts, and it's not that you want to really have those other nuts that we talked about earlier, not that they're bad, but those are the ones that are heavy in pesticides. But almonds, walnuts, pecans, hazelnuts, Brazil nuts, and macadamia nuts are the ones that are more favorable. So soaking them, as opposed to having a non-organic peanut, is going to be hugely different on your system and eventually on your brain, because your gut is connected to your brain in so many different ways. But the other thing is knowing how long to soak them. You need to look this up, because macadamia is only going to take about 20 minutes, as opposed to a pumpkin seed is like 24 hours, and it's 3 cycles of 8 hours of rinse and repeat. So it's a very big difference as far as like prep time goes, but it's really up to you. You don't have to sit there and watch it. You just have to make sure that this happens. So just putting, sesame sunflower, pumpkin seeds in a container, not together. The same thing with almonds, that like the peels come off and stuff like that, which helps kind of like stop the blocking of the nutrients, which is a whole nother thing. But those are the things that you can do to try and help the brain out. And the more that you are aware of these things, the more that you can be cognizant of their impact on your brain and its functionality, so that you can start making better decisions, literally make better decisions that help you make better decisions.